Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining the Ducere Global Business School MBA versus Executive MBA conference call. I'm joined today by Tara Wood in the UK joining us. So, hi, Tara.
Hello, thank you very much for having me.
Tara, are you actually, how close are you to the actual campus at University of Wales versus University of East London?
So I am closer to University of Wales. So I'm based in Wales, in Swansea. That is the background that you've chosen there for me, Dan. So thank you very much. We are a seaside town. So yes.
Fantastic. And not too far away from the sea here, I am a career coach and VP of MBA Enrollment based in California. And Tara works as your new title is it
Grad
still?
coach.
It is graduation coach.
Yep.
So fantastic. So let's jump into things. So you are not thinking about cups of coffee, but you're thinking about the major brands that go with Executive MBA versus an MBA. And we want to talk real briefly about just why people consider one or the other. Both are things that can help drive your career path, that can provide more job opportunities, that can expand your professional network, that can broaden a global perspective. If it's a global degree, it can increase self-confidence, certainly provide more professional credibility, and can provide improved creativity and strategic thinking. Across the board, some of the things that an MBA can impact: 72% see increased income 3 years after graduation, 72% that is. 109,000 US dollars is the average salary of a master's, some much more than that. And some of the most significant pay raises are tied to those in MBA positions, or those with MBA in their title. Some of the top brand millionaires and CEOs have MBAs. So Nike, Bloomberg, InBev, General Dynamics, GM, Kohl's. GM was actually just on the cover of Time magazine. These are CEOs and executives, that not necessarily the MBA got them there, but it is something that definitely helped them get there along the way. And this is really great recent evidence about why folks cited they chose an MBA. That just came out news last week, that folks cited a more meaningful career, not necessarily just a salary increase or a promotion, and also the desire for a more fulfilling career and wanting to change their career. So if you want more meaning and more change, an MBA is something that can help you get there. Certainly we know, and we hear from a lot of candidates, I do as I talk to them through the enrollment side of things, when they go to apply for a job and they tick the box of what's your highest level of education, and if they don't have a bachelor's, or if they have a partial bachelor's, or if they have a bachelor's, and they're seeing jobs that say master's degree preferred or master's degree required. And we are hearing from candidates, this is a GMAC study, that they're looking for MBAs, and what they want from folks with MBAs are the things that are underlined here: ability to analyze problems professionally and academically, the ambition and a desire to grow. So even just starting your MBA program puts out a signal that you have some of these key strengths and factors. So let's talk about some of the decisive factors that people look for when they're considering an MBA. Has to be relevant, has to be flexible. Most of the folks we work with are looking for these things. Needs to fit into their schedule. It has to have some level of difficulty. We actually ask a lot of people, like, this is a challenge, right? I want it to be a challenge. It's high level work, it's high level studies. Modern and applied learning. It has to have a value. It has to bring a global mindset and fuel that. And it has to provide networking opportunities. So real briefly on just who is Ducere before I jump into the difference between the programs. We're cited for one of our best things is having a relevance of our industry projects. So applied learning, you're studying projects that apply to your job, to your career. We're actually based here in California. We've been recognized as an award winner in higher education, recognized by the state of California and US Congress, global faculty with hundreds of world leaders in our video platform, partnerships with multinationals, governments, and NGOs. We have offices now across 4 continents, and we do partnerships with up to 6, soon to be more, major accredited international universities, including the University of Wales and the University of East London. couple programs that I'll talk about now. We actually do bachelor's degree programs and graduate programs with both University of Wales and University of East London. And we like to, we like to call it the reimagined MBA. You're learning on a state-of-the-art, award-winning platform. Tara knows it better than anybody else. It's a state-of-the-art platform built in Canvas. I could just kind of talk through a couple of the slides, Tara, if you want to elaborate just a bit on what students see when they kind of log in on day one.
Yeah, of course. So this is your dashboard. This is where you will find all of your modules that are current, and you will be able to just easily click on them. It's easy access. You've also got a calendar at the side that you can use. This is just a snapshot of what the course looks like when you actually click into it. So Global Business Challenges is one of the courses that we've previously run, and you can see that there's announcements at the top, and it's really self-explanatory. Honestly, it's so easy to use.
That's
And
really
that's the
great.
way it's been designed.
And students, and just to talk about the experience, you've got a blended flex schedule learning environment in both of the programs where you log in, you'll hear about your next assignments, you network with other students and with faculty. Can you just, across both programs, just talk a little bit more about like what, you're studying on your own time, on your schedule, but what's your access to graduation coaches and the school faculty?
So graduation coaches, which is usually myself. So I work Monday to Friday, and you can get me Monday to Friday. I usually meet with my US students in the evenings, and then UK in the mornings. So I'm accessible. We've also got WhatsApp groups, so we send each other messages. So if that works best for you, we can do it that way also. We use Teams as well, so we can get on a call and actually share each other's screens. So if there are any issues with anything and you want to show me, you can do that. With your academics, with UWTSD, you actually get 4 hours a week with your academics. So you get 2-hour lectures and you get 2 hours of Q&A session. So it's really, really good access to academics. Out of the 7-week program, you have that for 5 weeks. With UEL, you've got Ducere academics. Again, they just go above and beyond, and they're there to help. And we've had students studying the EMBA that have said, they can tell that our academics care and they wanted to do well for our academics in return. So, they're there all the time to help. You've got discussion forums here on Canvas you can also use if you don't want to use WhatsApp. So you can also use emails on Canvas or just your own emails, whichever way works for you. There's so many different channels to utilize.
That's great. And then student hours per week, I hear anywhere between 12 and 20 hours per week, depending on how much you want to put into it, how much time you have that week to put into it, and also just what kind of a student you were from years ago and you are now and you want to be. It really helps kind of dictate how you break up the number of hours and, whether you jam it in on the weekend or get a little bit in the morning and the night. Does that sound about right from what you hear from students as well?
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. So, we've got around 10 chapters per module on both UEL and UW courses. So they're broken up in the same sort of way. And it just depends if you are able to skim through and take in information, or if you do need to actually sit and read through. It really does depend person to person. But that's the joys of these courses, is that, they're designed for anybody to be able to take in the information. So it really does depend.
Lovely. So I'm going to jump into the difference between the programs in general, but I thought I would real briefly start with, MBA history. 1908, Harvard Graduate School was the first MBA program. And then in 1943, the first executive MBA, followed by 1987, believe it or not, was the first online MBA. And then 2013, the Wharton School really put the first modern MBA with courses on Coursera on a fully on-demand platform. So the online MBA and executive MBA is still pretty fresh, but also very well established. If you Google MBA versus EMBA, you'll see some things like this. You see in general across the board, MBA 5 to 6 to 7 years of experience, executive MBA usually a little bit more experienced. Typically, the MBAs are helping students move into manager positions or managers move up to the next level. Executive MBAs, the MBA on the left, executive on the right. Again, the MBA, designed for middle managers seeking to advance their careers, opportunities for promotions, strong focus on individual development, independent learning, focused on direct career application. MBAs typically require a bachelor's degree or 5+ years of existing professional experience. We want to hear from you. If you've got a great resume, if you've got a great portfolio, even without a bachelor's degree, we can talk about how this is different. We have a whole nother webinar on why UK systems will allow that. They want you. They want to work with students. We want to help develop professionals. And if you've got the background, this is a great opportunity to get into this program. Similarly, on the right, the Executive MBA, designed for senior level managers and executives who want to build that C-suite capacity, strong focus on global leadership, group projects that solve major impact challenges with global organizations. And I'll talk a minute with Tara about the difference between your final group projects. And again, the Executive MBA, bachelor's degree with 8+ years, ideally, of experience. But if you don't have that bachelor's and you've started your own company or you've been an executive for a decade or so, this is a great opportunity to finally go back and get your MBA status level. 6 subjects and applied projects with Wales, and 5 subjects and applied projects with University of East London. So there's one more subject, if you will, in the University of Wales, but it is a little bit longer. Both of the programs are accredited through the universities and the government. So that is definitely an accredited, recognized, respected degree credential out there. You get your degree from the universities. Total cost and duration. So University of Wales is about $14,000 US, 10.6 pounds. And anywhere between 15 and up to 24 months to complete. University of East London is about just shy of 18,000 US dollars and just shy of 14,000 pounds. And that is a 12-month program. So definitely the duration to complete is a big talking point that a lot of folks consider, but it's not necessarily the most important. In the span of your entire career and your entire education, an extra half a year or an extra, 9, 8, 12 months to complete a great, amazing project could be something to consider. So let's talk briefly, and I've had a lot of conversations with students. I know you have too as well, Tara, but about the final projects. And as you're experiencing, a lot of the students start to consider and build out and think about what their projects are. And I'll address briefly what I tell a lot of candidates is University of Wales. You've got what I call the bring your own final project. I've found that it's great for folks that are working with their current company and want to involve their current company, and you want to solve a high level business challenge. You know what it is, or maybe you're an entrepreneur and this is a great one if you are starting your own company and you want to tackle apps that handle some major challenge in medical and health, and you're developing this and you want to use all of the modules to help build that storyline. So you work on this solo, but with the help of faculty, and you do talk with your cohort students, and you bounce ideas off of them as well. With the University of East London, it is a group project. So you are assigned an industry project from a major brand to work on with a team. And I've heard some potential students say, that is awesome. I want to learn something about an industry that I know nothing about because I'm considering building my resume, and I want to show that I know more than just automotive category, or I've only worked in medical for all of my management years, and I want to show that I can handle projects outside of my current tunnel. So both are very unique. Both have very unique advantages. And Tara, anything else you kind of want to add to the difference between the two projects? Obviously, time. You've got a lot more time with University of Wales, but what else?
Research, I would say, mostly for some students. I mean, with UWTSD or University of Wales, there's a lot more research into it, and methodology. So if you're one of those people that really wants to research and look into things, then University of Wales is going to provide that for you. Whereas University of East London is a lot shorter, so you don't have as much time on the final project. So it's not quite as in depth in research. I'd say that's probably the biggest difference, really. But both, as you said, equally as both of them are brilliant, really, really good.
Yeah, and when I mentioned to applicants the value of your, capstone, some folks call it a keystone research project, thesis, if you will, is something that you've got for life, is something that you speak to other folks about when you're interviewing, when you go back to your current job, and what did you work on, what did you study, and we've got slide decks on the major recommendations are either cohort MBA teams have done or individuals have done, and most recently one of our University of Wales students was published for his
Yeah.
research project, and it was oil, right?
The
Oil and
oil
gas.
industry, that's correct. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we can share that if you want the link. But the great thing is, as he goes out and develops his career, he'll be able to point to a link where he was actually published in an article about his research, and his key findings. And we see things most recently, a big MBA team presented to Red Cross, and they implemented some of the recommendations that they made. So we see these a lot. These are not hypothetical projects. Our company brand partners say, we need you to figure this out. We need this MBA team to research this, come back and make a recommendation. And these are industry shaking recommendations that companies actually implement quite frequently. Without, we keep these confidential, of course, for student and the industries, but can you talk, Tara, about just a couple of other ones that you're hearing students, start to brew around? I've got, one who works in sports and hospitality and entertainment. I've got somebody else who works in the beverage industry, and they're really excited. But anything else come to mind from an industry side that you think of top of mind?
No, sports definitely comes to mind, and I know that particular student is B-men through East London. Actually, is the chosen choice for her for the university, and she's already getting a massive awareness, and she really thinks that she's learned so much already on the university course. Another one again. University of East London, they've had a promotion, and they're starting this week. So it really does change lives. Whether you go in University of Wales or University of East London, they change lives in all sectors of life.
Really exciting. And if you're watching this webinar, definitely ask your enrollment advisor. Tell them, I work in automotive, I work in medical. Can you cite any other examples? Or are there any other students I should connect with? Because they're right there on LinkedIn. We can help connect you. So you might be able to chat with them about how it's going, and what exciting things they're working on. And really, it's all about the network with Ducere. Because what's interesting is if you were just Ducere student and you're working on your Wales MBA, you're probably going to meet a Ducere student who's working over at University of London or University of Torrance or University of Mauritius. It's truly a global network across the umbrella. So while you'll have MBA alumni at your credentialed degree school, you're also going to be part of the Ducere network, which is really exciting. Real briefly with Tara as the expert, you are 100% online university program that you're doing with us. So there's no actual need to go to the campus, although really exciting. You can go and graduate in cap and gown in person and be there for the ceremony. We want you to, hashtag asterisk pending, pandemic status.
Yeah.
And when that happens a year from now, knocking on wood, hopefully everything is fantastic. Although you're not there as you're going through your studies, you have, that vibe, those energies, that association with, and I want to talk about the difference between the two programs. And you do have access. You've got access to the library with some of them, and we'll talk about the difference between the two. So University of East London, founded 1898, an amazing East London campus. Folks ask me a lot the difference between the two. They're both here in the US, highly recognized and respected. East London, amazing, more modern campus, has a lot of medical, has a lot of tech, is certainly in the city. has the credentials of London, but what else can you think about with East London?
No, definitely more modern, more fresh. It's definitely that compared to UW. UW is a lot more historical, but East London has got so much to offer as well online. They've got so many videos to help you through any problem that you need. They are with the times, so that's why they've got the videos already recorded. That's why everything is already online, because they roll with the times, and they are, as I said, modern.
That's right.
And that's the difference, I would say, with
Yeah.
the two. University of Wales goes back so many years and is historic. I actually studied at University of Wales many moons ago, so I know that I've been on campus, and you can see the difference.
All right. And we also have Hannah, who is right there in London, right? She is one of our enrollment advisors and talks with hundreds of students per month, and hears from folks across all different industries. But what do folks that are on the streets there say, right? What are the candidates that you talk to, and what's the difference between the two from your perspective as somebody on the ground there in London?
Yeah, no, there's some difference between the programs for sure. Both University of Wales and University of East London are well-established universities over here as well. I'd say the main difference between the two is the final applied industry project that we work with both of the schools with, whereas the University of East London, you have a more consultancy style project delivered in collaboration with our business partners. Whereas University of Wales offering is also an applied industry project, but here is where you choose a project of your own that you can use in line with your degree. So that's the main differences, I'd say, between the programs themselves. Both universities are well established here and recognized and public accredited in the UK as well. So.
And then Steve, you're in Chicago, USA. You talk to lots of different folks from different industries and brands with job titles. What would you say are some of the, hearing more job titles and more industries that are leaning towards Wales online MBA versus East London Executive MBA?
Well, I think we get quite a variety of people's backgrounds and whom come into it, and it is that final project oftentimes that can be that decision making. The length of the program is pretty similar. I mean, Wales, you get a little more extended into it. It's going to be 15 to 24 months. So you can spread it out over a little bit longer. Some people need that because they're so busy at work. Some people are looking at utilizing their degree and want to achieve it as quickly as possible, and the executive program suits that better. But then when it comes to that final project, people looking at formulating their own business plan. So a lot of entrepreneurs or people who are moving into consultation aspects of their their industry find that the University of Wales end project works better for them because they can tailor it to themselves and what they're doing or their launch plan or where they want to take themselves. Some people that are in their positions that are in project management or also consultancy or just looking at their position where they work with a lot of other factions, the consultancy style global challenge with the University of East London works well for them because they are working with about 6 to 8 other students. So they get that experience of working with a group, putting together a presentation because you are actually presenting that project to the company. That for them is a real need, a real focus. So you get that experience of working on that sort of project management, that sort of consultancy program. So I think that's a big deciding factor between the large groups of people in different industries that we have, that just it's which one resonates and which one's going to be more useful to yourself, your career, your industry relevant portfolio for yourself.
A lot of people, and I had one question about the non-bachelor's MBA and how that's recognized and how that is possible. And we know here how it's recognized. We hear that a lot. In fact, a lot of our ads will say right in there, no bachelor's required if you have the business experience. And in the US, that is very foreign, like rare. People just were programmed their entire lives. You can't do it without the other. In the UK, it has been for many, many decades more about getting a specialized degree that helps you develop in your career, that helps you grow in your career. Hannah, maybe can you speak to how much more recognized that is and how much more common that is in the UK?
Yeah, absolutely. So here in the UK, you can apply based on the traditional BA degree, but there's also an option of where your application can be evaluated based on experience, just as you mentioned. And we're very much about trying to match the right level of academic qualification with the experience you have. So we don't see a reason why, if you built up your career within an industry for the past 10 years and already have a bunch of management experience, it may not be the best way to take the next step in your career entering a bachelor degree, because those bachelor degrees may more be catered towards people that are looking to kick off their career, not only been working in an industry for so long. So that's why here that is an opportunity, an option as well, to go straight into an MBA based on your experience. And I think it's fairly common. If you're thinking about applying for an MBA, or it's been something that you've been on your mind for years and years and years, I definitely say book in a call with us to have a quick chat. I hear a lot from our current candidates on the program as well, once they got started and getting over those intimidated steps of like, how am I going to be able to enter the academic world when I've just been working for ages? And once they get over those steps, more often we get feedback of like, why didn't I just start this earlier? It's such a great challenge, and I'm learning and I'm exploring so many areas and new skills and such. So yeah, book in a call with us to have a quick chat about the program.
Steve?
Yeah, I mean, just even in building off of that, you're not alone. You know, so many people I speak to on a daily basis went into the working world. A lot of them have college under their belt, but they stopped because work interfered with it. Their family interfered with it. They started making money and growing in their positions. But now they're at this tier where I can't get to the next step because I don't have my education. Times have changed versus what they previously were, or the level I want to move into now requires a degree. But when you look at it, the people I speak to don't see the relevancy in getting a bachelor degree. Why am I going to go take general education courses that have nothing to do with what I want to take classes in? Why am I going to take a business class that I could teach because of my level of experience? So here we want to see students coming into a level of education that matches where they're at professionally. And this allows you to do it. It's real. You have the ability to do it. And it's something you can really add to yourself and then feel like you're involved in something that's relevant to your current career and your growth, where you want to take yourself.
It's fantastic. That's a great wrap. We've got a couple of questions about sending the slides. Absolutely. If you're on this webinar, you'll get a copy of it. If you're watching this in the replay, definitely reach out to your enrollment advisors. And just to address, like, our approach is just like this. It's career conversations. It's coaching conversations. We want to help answer any questions you've got. So reach out to any one of us, or there's a number of other enrollment advisors. You probably know who you work with. If you don't know, you can find us on Ducere.education. You can find any of our contact information. We're also on LinkedIn, and I encourage you to watch some of the videos from student testimonials on YouTube, and some of them are on our Facebook page as well. So thanks for joining us. Have an amazing day, and good luck with your decision. And we hope to see you in either one of the MBA or Executive MBA programs.